The first thing I saw wasn't her face. It was the pink gift bag in her hand, glossy, expensive, stuffed with tissue paper like she had taken her time choosing it. She stood in the doorway of my daughter's 7th birthday party, as if she had every right to be there. Balloons floated near the ceiling, kids screamed with laughter inside the bounce house, parents balanced paper plates and made small talk about school schedules. And then she smiled at me. "Hi," she said brightly. "I'm Madison. I work with your husband." My heart didn't break. It went cold, because I knew exactly who she was. For 3 weeks, I had been collecting screenshots, hotel receipts, and deleted messages my husband thought were gone forever. She wasn't embarrassed. She wasn't confused. She was confident, like she had already won. And if she thought she could walk into my daughter's birthday party and pretend she belonged in my family, she was about to learn how wrong she was. My name is Harper Collins, and until that Saturday afternoon, I thought I still had time to decide how my marriage would end. I just didn't think it would begin ending in front of a bounce house. We'd rented the community center in Maplewood for Lily's 7th birthday. Purple streamers, unicorn plates, a sheet cake with her name piped in pink frosting. I had spent weeks planning it because that's the kind of mother I am, the kind who double-checks the RSVP list and packs extra candles just in case. Ethan had shown up late. He kissed Lily on the forehead, handed her a wrapped box, and avoided my eyes. 3 weeks earlier, I had found the first crack. A hotel charge on our joint credit card midweek, during a conference. When I asked about it casually, he said it was a billing error. I nodded, smiled, played along. That night, I checked the cloud backup on his phone. There she was, Madison Grant. Messages that weren't professional, photos that weren't accidental, words that didn't belong in a marriage. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I didn't even confront him. Instead, I started documenting. Screenshots saved to a private folder, bank statements downloaded, call logs exported. I scheduled a consultation with a family attorney under the guise of updating estate documents. I needed facts. I needed leverage. And most of all, I needed to protect Lily. So, I waited. I smiled through dinners. I folded his laundry. I kissed him goodnight and wondered how someone could lie so easily while sharing a pillow. And now, here we were. Children racing across the polished gym floor, parents laughing, music playing softly from a rented speaker. Ethan stood by the snack table pretending to help refill chips. Every few seconds, his eyes flicked toward the door like he was expecting something. Or someone. I noticed it. Because once you know the truth, you start seeing everything differently. I was lighting the candles on Lily's cake when the door opened. I didn't turn immediately, but I felt it. A shift in the air. A pause in the room's rhythm. Then I heard her heels on the tile. Slow, confident. And when I looked up and saw the pink gift bag in her hand, I understood something with absolute clarity. This wasn't a mistake. She hadn't wandered in by accident. She was here on purpose. And Ethan standing across the room had gone completely pale. For a split second, I considered pretending I didn't recognize her. I had only seen Madison in filtered selfies and carefully angled photos, the kind women send when they believe they're desired. Soft lighting, bare shoulders, my husband's dress shirt hanging loosely on her frame. But in person, she was sharper, more deliberate. She scanned the room quickly before locking eyes with me. Not confused, not hesitant, calculated. "Hi," she said brightly, as if we were meeting at a PTA meeting. "I'm Madison." Her voice carried just enough to turn a few heads. "I work with Ethan." "Ethan, not your husband. Not Mr. Collins. Ethan." I felt something in my chest settle into ice. "Yes," I said evenly. "I know who you are." Her smile faltered just slightly. "Oh." She adjusted her grip on the pink gift bag. I wasn't sure if he'd mentioned me. Across the room, Ethan stood frozen near the drink table, a juice box crushed slightly in his hand. His eyes were locked on us, panic radiating off him in waves. Lily ran past us just then, tiara slipping sideways as she chased one of her friends. "Mom! Look at the balloon sword." I crouched down, kissed her cheek, fixed her crown. "Beautiful," I whispered. "Go have fun." When I stood again, Madison was watching me with something that almost looked like curiosity. "She's adorable," Madison said softly. "Ethan talks about her all the time." Something inside me snapped, not loudly, not dramatically. Just a quiet internal shift. You mean when you two aren't texting at midnight? I asked gently. Her jaw tightened. I'm not sure what you're implying. Of course you are. Around us, conversations had thinned. Parents weren't openly staring yet, but they were listening. You could feel it, the subtle change in the room when tension replaces music. Madison leaned closer, lowering her voice. I didn't come here to fight. Why did you come? I asked. She hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. I thought it was time to stop hiding, she said. Stop hiding. As if secrecy had been my decision. As if she were stepping into the light as something legitimate. I glanced at Ethan again. He finally moved. Harper, he said quietly when he reached us. Can we talk outside? No, I replied without looking at him. Madison folded her arms, composure cracking at the edges. You don't have to make a scene. I smiled, calm, measured. I'm not making one, I said, but I'm about to end one. And for the first time since she walked in, I saw something flicker across her face. Uncertainty. I stepped back just enough to see the entire room. Purple balloons bobbed near the ceiling. The bounce house motor hummed steadily in the corner. A few parents were pretending to rearrange paper plates, while clearly trying to hear every word. Ethan's voice dropped to a whisper. Harper, please, not here. I turned to him slowly. Where? I asked. The hotel lobby? Your office parking lot? Or our kitchen at midnight when Lily's asleep? His face drained of color. Madison exhaled sharply. This is inappropriate. I laughed softly. Not hysterically. Not cruelly. Inappropriate, I repeated. You walked into my daughter's birthday party. A father near the snack table cleared his throat. Someone lowered the music completely. The room was quiet now. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I think everyone deserves proper introductions, I said clearly. Madison Grant works with my husband. Madison forced a tight smile. And for the last 4 months, I continued, she's also been sleeping with him. The silence that followed was so complete I could hear the bounce house motor struggling against the weight of it. A plastic fork clattered to the floor. Ethan stepped forward, hands slightly raised. Stop, just stop. Why? I asked calmly. Is it not true? Madison's composure finally fractured. You're unstable, she snapped. You're humiliating yourself. No, I said evenly. I'm clarifying reality. I pulled my phone from my pocket. Ethan lunged slightly but stopped himself. Harper, don't. Hotel receipts, I said, swiping once. February 14th, March 3rd, April 18th. A few parents exchanged glances. Madison swallowed. You went through his phone? She demanded. I went through my marriage, I corrected. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. You're turning this into a spectacle. No, I said quietly. You did that when you invited her into our lives. I didn't invite, he began. Madison's head snapped toward him. You told me she knew, she said. The shift was immediate. A crack between them. Ethan blinked. I said she suspected. Oh my God, Madison muttered. And suddenly, the power dynamic changed. Not because I was yelling. Not because I was angry. But because they realized something at the same time. I wasn't guessing. I had evidence. I stepped closer to Madison. You introduced yourself to my daughter, I said, my voice calm but firm. You smiled at her like you had a place here. Her lips parted, but no words came out. You don't. Ethan tried one more time. Let's just go home and talk. We are home, I replied. This is our life. At that exact moment, Lily appeared beside me, frosting smeared across her chin, balloon ribbon wrapped around her wrist. Mommy, why is everyone staring? My heart squeezed, but my voice stayed gentle. Sometimes grown-ups forget how to behave, I told her softly. But you didn't do anything wrong. She looked at Ethan. Daddy? He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I kissed her forehead. Go play, sweetheart. I'll be right here. She nodded slowly and walked back toward her friends, glancing over her shoulder once. When I stood up, something inside me had solidified. This wasn't revenge. This wasn't hysteria. This was protection. I looked at Madison one last time. I suggest you leave, I said clearly. For the first time since she walked through that door, she didn't argue. She picked up the pink gift bag, the one she had carried in like an offering, and walked out. Ethan hesitated. Then he followed her. The door closed behind them, and the room didn't breathe for a full 3 seconds. Then everything resumed, but softer. Muted. Like someone had turned the volume down on reality. A mom named Andrea, whose son sat next to Lily in class, stepped toward me first. "I saw everything," she said quietly. "If you need a witness, I'm here." 2 other parents nodded. One dad muttered, "That took guts." I didn't feel brave. I felt hollow. "Thank you," I said, keeping my spine straight. "I'm sorry it happened here." "No," Andrea replied firmly. She made that choice. The music slowly started again. Kids drifted back toward the bounce house, their attention spans mercifully short. Lily laughed at something across the room, blissfully unaware of the earthquake that had just shifted her world. I cut the cake. I handed out slices. I smiled when I needed to, and I counted the minutes until the rental clock ran out. Ethan didn't come back inside. He texted instead. "Ethan, we need to talk. You went too far." I stared at the message. Too far. 4 months of lies. Hotel rooms. Secret phones. But I went too far. I didn't respond. Instead, I thanked the last of the parents for coming. Andrea hugged me tightly before leaving. "Call me," she whispered. "Even if it's just to scream." When the room was finally empty, my mother Linda approached from the hallway where she had been distracting Lily with presents. "You handled that calmly," she said. "Did I?" "Yes, you did." Her eyes softened. "Your father pulled something similar when you were 8. Different woman. Same arrogance." I swallowed. "I won't let Lily grow up thinking this is normal." "Good," she said. "Then don't." That night, Ethan called. I answered on the 3rd ring. "How could you do that?" he demanded immediately. "How could I do what?" I asked evenly. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You embarrassed yourself." He exhaled sharply. "Madison didn't know you were planning to make a scene. She knew you were married." Silence. "She thought things were over between us." I laughed short, incredulous. "Over? You slept in our bed 3 nights ago." "You've been distant," he shot back. "You're always focused on Lily, on the house." "So this is my fault?" "I'm not saying that. You are." There it was. Deflection. Minimization. Blame shifting. Classic patterns I had been reading about for weeks while he thought I was asleep beside him. "You brought instability into our home," I said calmly. "Not me." He lowered his voice. "Madison got called into HR this afternoon. And? They're reviewing company policy." I paused. "And that's my responsibility." "She's devastated." So was I. The line went quiet again. Finally, he said, "Where am I supposed to go tonight?" I had anticipated that question. "There's a suitcase in the garage," I replied. "What?" "I packed it this morning." "You were planning this?" "No," I corrected. "I was preparing." He made a sound halfway between frustration and disbelief. "You're throwing away 8 years. You threw them first." He arrived 20 minutes later. I opened the door but didn't invite him inside. The suitcase sat beside the entryway. His clothes, his toiletries, the framed photo of us from our honeymoon face down. "You changed the locks?" he asked. I consulted my attorney. "You talked to a lawyer before talking to me?" "Yes." His jaw tightened. "You're cold." "No," I said quietly. "I'm clear." He stepped inside anyway, just 1 foot across the threshold. "You don't get to erase me." "I'm not erasing you," I replied. "I'm restructuring access." "Access?" he scoffed. "You will see Lily, through legal agreement, in a way that protects her." "You think I'm dangerous?" "I think unpredictability is." He stared at me for a long moment. Then he grabbed the suitcase handle. "You'll regret humiliating me," he muttered. I met his eyes. "I regret trusting you," I said softly. "That's enough." He left without another word. I locked the door, checked it twice. "Upstairs," Lily called out. "Mom?" I went to her room. She was sitting up in bed, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "Is Daddy coming back?" she asked. My throat tightened, but my voice stayed steady. "Not tonight." She frowned. "Did I do something wrong?" I crossed the room in 3 steps and knelt in front of her. "No, listen to me." I held her hands. "None of this is because of you. Not even a little bit. Promise?" "Promise." She lay back down. I stayed there until her breathing slowed. Downstairs, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. You didn't have to destroy everything. I deleted it without replying. Because sometimes the strongest move isn't escalation. It's documentation. And I had already started building my case. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was heartbroken, but because heartbreak had already happened 3 weeks earlier when I found the second phone hidden in Ethan's gym bag. This was different. This was strategy. At 6:12 a.m. Before Lily woke up, I was sitting at the kitchen table with a legal pad, a highlighter, and my laptop open. I wrote everything down. Date of discovery. Dates of hotel stays. Screenshots saved. Witnesses present at the party. Ethan's text. You'll regret humiliating me. Unknown number. Likely Madison. Facts, not feelings. By 8:30 a.m., my attorney, Rachel Turner, called. I heard about the party, she said without preamble. You handled it better than most would. That's not exactly the goal I was aiming for. No, but it helps. I leaned back in my chair. He showed up last night. I gave him a packed suitcase. Changed the locks. Good, she said. You're within your rights. The house is solely in your name. Will that matter? It already does. Rachel's tone shifted slightly professional, steady. You need to expect escalation. I assumed as much. If he feels publicly embarrassed, he may attempt to reframe the narrative. That's common. So I keep documenting. Exactly. By noon, the messages started. From Ethan. From his sister, Claire. From his mother, Claire. This didn't have to be so public. Mother-in-law. Marriage is about forgiveness, Harper. I responded to none of them. Rachel had warned me. Silence is powerful in court. At 2:15 p.m., Ethan texted again. I need my laptop for work. You can't legally keep it. I took a picture of it sitting untouched on the entryway table. You may retrieve it with 2 4-hour notice and third party present, I replied. He called immediately. I let it ring, then forwarded the call log to Rachel. That evening, something unexpected happened. Madison called me directly. Her voice was different now, less polished. You didn't have to ruin my career, she said. I didn't contact your employer. You humiliated me. You walked into my daughter's birthday party. You could have handled it privately. I said evenly. For 3 weeks. Silence. Then she asked, Do you hate me? The question almost caught me off guard. I don't know you, I replied. I just know your choices affected my child. You think he won't resent you for this? I let out a slow breath. This isn't about winning him. And that was the truth. It had stopped being about him the moment Lily asked if she had done something wrong. Madison's tone sharpened. You're vindictive. No, I corrected calmly. I'm protective. She hung up. I immediately documented the call. Time. Duration. Summary of conversation. 2 days later, Ethan appeared at Lily's school during pickup. Not violent. Not aggressive. But positioned. Leaning against his car as if it were a casual coincidence. Lily spotted him first. Daddy! She started to move toward him. I gently tightened my grip on her hand. Hi, Ethan said, trying to sound relaxed. I just wanted to see her. We don't have a temporary custody order yet, I replied. I'm her father, and you will remain her father. Other parents had slowed their steps. Teachers lingered near the entrance. You're making this harder than it needs to be, he muttered. I'm making it structured. That's cold, Harper. No, I said softly. Cold is lying for 4 months. A teacher approached. Is everything all right? Yes, I answered smoothly. We're leaving. I buckled Lily into the car before my hands had a chance to shake. That night, Rachel called again. We're filing for temporary custody and formal separation, she said. Do we have enough? We have documentation, witnesses from the party, the school incident, his threatening texts. He says, I embarrassed him publicly. And he brought his affair partner into a child's birthday party. Judges notice context. I nodded slowly. I don't want revenge. I know, she replied, and that's exactly why this will work in your favor. Later, after Lily fell asleep, I stood in the hallway outside her room. The house felt larger, quieter. Ethan had filled space with noise, television, phone calls, footsteps. Now there was only the hum of the refrigerator and the faint glow of Lily's nightlight under her door. My phone buzzed again. Ethan, You're turning everyone against me. I stared at the message. No, I wasn't. His actions were. I set the phone face down on the counter. Because the real battle wasn't emotional anymore. It was legal, and I was no longer reacting. I was preparing. For court. For custody. For the long-term stability of my daughter's life. And this time, I wasn't doing it quietly. I was doing it correctly. The hearing was scheduled 3 weeks after the party. 3 weeks of silence from Ethan, except for carefully worded messages that sounded like they had been approved by someone else first. 3 weeks of structured exchanges about Lily school pickup times, extracurricular schedules, nothing personal. 3 weeks of Madison disappearing completely from my phone. Rachel had warned me. When things go quiet, she said, it usually means lawyers are drafting something. She was right. 2 days before the hearing, Ethan's attorney filed a response, claiming I had acted emotionally unstable and intentionally humiliating, and that my public confrontation showed poor judgment in front of a minor. I read the motion twice. Then I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was predictable. The courtroom in Essex County felt smaller than I expected. Fluorescent lighting, polished wood benches. A judge who looked like she'd seen every version of human failure imaginable. Ethan sat at the opposite table, clean suit, trimmed beard, eyes avoiding mine. Madison wasn't there. Rachel leaned toward me. Remember, calm, concise, let them overplay their hand. I nodded. Ethan's attorney began first. Your Honor, my client acknowledges marital mistakes, he said smoothly. But the defendant's public outburst at a child's birthday party demonstrates emotional volatility that raises concern regarding primary custody. Public outburst. I almost corrected him out loud. Rachel squeezed my hand lightly. Wait, they painted me as dramatic. Reactive. Vindictive. Rachel stood when it was our turn. Your Honor, the evidence will show that Miss Collins acted with composure and factual clarity after the plaintiff's extramarital partner introduced herself to their minor child at a private event. She submitted documentation, hotel receipts, screenshots, text messages, call logs, the school incident report, witness statements from 3 parents who had been present. Andrea testified. Did Mrs. Collins scream? Rachel asked. No. Did she threaten anyone? No. What did she do? She stated facts, calmly, and asked the other woman to leave. Ethan's attorney shifted in his seat. Next came the teacher from Lily's school. Did Mr. Collins appear aggressive? The judge asked. No, the teacher replied. But the situation created discomfort and required staff attention. Rachel's voice remained steady. Would you describe Miss Collins' behavior as protective? Yes. Then it was my turn. I stood, swore to tell the truth, and I did. I did not seek to humiliate anyone, I said clearly. I sought to clarify boundaries when an unrelated adult introduced herself to my child under false pretenses. The judge looked at me directly. Why not address it privately later? I had been addressing it privately for 3 weeks, I replied. The setting changed when she approached my daughter. Silence. The judge flipped through the documents slowly. Mr. Collins, she said finally, why did your extramarital partner attend your child's birthday? Ethan hesitated. I didn't invite her, he muttered. Rachel slid a printed text message across the table. It's at the Maplewood Community Center, 2 p.m. She'll love the unicorn theme. The judge's eyebrows lifted. Mr. Collins? His attorney whispered urgently in his ear. Ethan swallowed. I made a mistake. Yes, the judge said evenly. Several. The ruling came 40 minutes later. Temporary primary custody to me. Structured visitation for Ethan supervised for 90 days. No, unapproved contact. No third-party introductions without written consent. Clear communication guidelines. Stability for the minor child is the court's priority, the judge concluded. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I simply exhaled. Ethan avoided my eyes as we exited the courtroom. Outside, in the hallway, he finally spoke. You didn't have to go this far. I looked at him calmly. You did. He stared at me as if searching for the version of Harper who would have apologized. She wasn't there anymore. Rachel leaned toward me once we reached the parking lot. This is the hard part, she said quietly. Winning the first motion doesn't end the process. It just defines it. I know. But you did exactly what you needed to do. I nodded. Because this wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about public embarrassment. It wasn't even about betrayal anymore. It was about precedent, structure, protection. And for the first time since that pink gift bag appeared in the doorway, I felt something solid under my feet again. Not anger, not heartbreak, just clarity. And clarity is much harder to shake than emotion. The court order didn't change Ethan overnight. It changed his access. And for a man like him, that felt worse. For the first week after the ruling, he followed the rules carefully. Texts about Lily were short and polite. What time is her recital again? Can I drop off the science project materials? Please confirm Saturday at 10 a.m. Controlled. Measured. Then the tone shifted. It started subtly. I hope you're proud of yourself. I didn't answer. Then, Madison lost her apartment. Still nothing. And finally, you didn't just hurt me, you destroyed her life. That one almost got a response. Almost. But Rachel's voice echoed in my head. Never respond to emotional bait. Only respond to parenting logistics. So I didn't. Instead, I documented. Again. 2 weeks later, at the first supervised visitation exchange, Ethan showed up looking different, not disheveled, but smaller. The supervisor, a licensed family mediator named Karen Blake, stood between us in the community center lobby. Exchange will be 2 hours, she said calmly. We'll remain in the children's activity room. Lily clung to my hand. Mommy, are you coming too? No, sweetheart. Daddy and Miss Karen are going to hang out. She looked uncertain but nodded. Ethan crouched down. Hey, Lilypad. She didn't run to him the way she used to. That wasn't something I engineered. That was something she felt. After she disappeared into the activity room, Ethan straightened and looked at me. You've turned her against me. No, I said quietly. You changed how she sees you. He scoffed. You've always been dramatic. And you've always minimized consequences. Karen cleared her throat lightly. Please remember, all communication during exchanges must remain civil. I nodded. Ethan's jaw tightened. I just want my family back, he muttered. You had it, I replied. He didn't argue that. That night, something unexpected happened. Madison showed up at my house. Not inside. On the sidewalk. I saw her through the window while washing dishes. My stomach dropped not from fear but from disbelief. She looked thinner, exhausted. I stepped outside but kept the screen door closed between us. You can't be here, I said calmly. I just want to talk. There is nothing to discuss. You ruined everything, she whispered, eyes glossy. No, I corrected gently. Choices ruin things. She shook her head. He told me you two were basically separated. He told me he loved me. Silence. Her face crumpled slightly. I lost my job, she said. I didn't contact your employer. They investigated. Yes, I said evenly, because workplace policies exist. She stared at me like she was waiting for guilt to appear. It didn't. I didn't know he'd bring me to the party to meet her, she said finally. I studied her carefully. You walked through the door. He said it was time. And you believed him. She swallowed hard. He said you were cold. I almost smiled. And that made it easier. She had no answer. For a moment I saw not a villain but a woman who had built her reality on someone else's lies. Still, that didn't excuse her. You need to leave, I said firmly. If you return, I will file a formal complaint. Her eyes widened slightly. You'd really do that? Yes. Because boundaries only work when they are enforced. She stepped back. I never wanted this, she whispered. Neither did I. And with that, she walked away. Later that evening, Ethan called. She told me she came to your house. Yes. You threatened her. I informed her. You're enjoying this. The accusation hung in the air. I let it sit. No, I said finally. I'm surviving it. He went quiet. For the first time in weeks, he sounded tired. I never meant for it to go this far. It went exactly as far as your choices allowed. You think you're perfect? No, I replied softly. But I was faithful. That ended the conversation. Over the next month, something shifted. Not dramatically, but steadily. Lily adapted to the schedule. 2 supervised visits became routine. Then, after the evaluation period, the court adjusted it to structured but unsupervised day visits. Ethan followed the order carefully now. No more surprise appearances. No more late-night emotional texts. He'd learned something. Consequences aren't temporary. They restructure your life. One evening, as I tucked Lily into bed, she looked up at me thoughtfully. Mom? Yes? Are you mad at Daddy forever? The question lingered. No, I said honestly. I'm not mad forever. Then, what are you? I'm careful. She nodded slowly, processing that. I like when it's calm, she said. So do I. After she fell asleep, I stood in the hallway for a long time. Because calm had cost me something. It cost me denial. It cost me the version of my marriage I thought existed. But it gave Lily something better. Stability. And that was worth everything. Downstairs, my phone buzzed. Ethan. Thank you for being reasonable about the schedule today. I stared at it, then typed back. Consistency helps Lily. Nothing more. No emotion. No reopening wounds. Just structure. Because drama fades, but structure lasts. And I was done living in chaos. 4 months later, Lily turned 8. We didn't rent the community center this time. No bounce house. No giant room filled with acquaintances and polite smiles. Just our house. Just the people who felt safe. Andrea and her kids came over. My mother baked the cake herself, chocolate with rainbow sprinkles, because Lily had requested something happy looking. The decorations were simpler. Streamers taped slightly crooked. Balloons tied to kitchen chairs. But the air felt different. Steady. Lily ran through the living room in socks, shrieking with laughter as Andrea's son chased her with a foam sword. No tension. No, scanning the door every time it opened. No wondering who might walk in uninvited. When it was time for candles, we gathered around the kitchen island. Make a big wish, my mom said. Lily closed her eyes tightly, blew out all 8 candles in one breath. Everyone clapped. Then she leaned toward me and whispered, "This one's better." I swallowed. "Yeah," I said softly. "It is." Ethan had sent a gift earlier that morning. A stuffed golden retriever and a card that read, "Happy 8th birthday, Lily Pad. I love you always, Dad." He had asked, through the co-parenting app, if he could video call for 5 minutes during the party. I agreed. 5 minutes. Structured. Predictable. When his face appeared on the tablet screen, Lily smiled, not the same reckless joy she used to, but something softer, more cautious. "Happy birthday, kiddo," he said. "Thanks, Dad." They talked about her new bike, her science project, the dog she still wanted someday. I stood nearby but didn't interrupt. 5 minutes later, I gently tapped the screen. "Okay, time to let Lily get back to her cake." He nodded. "Have a good night." "You too," I replied, and that was it. No argument. No tension. Just boundaries doing their quiet work. After everyone left and the house settled into evening calm, I sat at the kitchen table with the last slice of cake. Crumbs on the counter. Wrapping paper in a pile near the trash can. My phone buzzed. "Ethan, thank you for letting me call." I stared at the message for a moment, then I typed, "We're doing what's best for Lily." He responded a minute later. "I know. I'm trying." For the first time in months, I believed him. Not completely. Not blindly, but enough. Growth doesn't arrive with grand apologies. It arrives in consistent behavior. Later, as I checked on Lily, she was sprawled across her bed, stuffed animals arranged like an audience around her pillow. I pulled the blanket up gently. She stirred. "Mom? Yeah? I'm glad you told the truth." The words caught me off guard. "Why?" I asked softly. Because it felt weird when she came to my party. Like something wasn't right. I brushed her hair back from her forehead. "You're allowed to trust that feeling," I said. She nodded sleepily. "And I'm glad you're not yelling anymore." I smiled faintly. "Me too." Downstairs, I locked the doors not out of fear anymore, but habit. The house didn't feel hollow now. It felt owned, earned, peaceful. I poured myself a glass of water and stood by the window for a moment, looking out at the quiet street. That day, the pink gift bag, the silence in the party room, the courtroom, it felt like the end of everything, but it wasn't. It was the end of pretending, the end of minimizing, the end of absorbing damage quietly so other people could stay comfortable. What followed wasn't revenge. It wasn't destruction. It was reconstruction. Of boundaries. Of self-respect. Of stability. Some truths don't destroy families. They expose what was already broken. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for your child is show them what protection looks like. I turned off the kitchen light, went upstairs. And for the first time in a long time, I fell asleep without replaying the past, because the chaos had passed, and what remained was calm, not perfect, but solid, and solid was enough.